Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would share my adoption story process. It was super long. I spent probably most of 2019 trying to figure out if I wanted a second dog or not. My very first dog that I've ever had in my life, Sky, passed away at the age of 15. And I've had her ever since she was a 3-month-old puppy. I don't really remember the process of adopting her because, to be honest, not gonna lie, I kind of didn't want her. She bit me and I didn't like her. But my brother wanted a really fuzzy dog, and honestly, I was just on board because I wanted a dog. And I was 8 back then, I grew up with her, and she passed away. At this point, I think it's been about 2 years now, and I thought immediately after she passed away, I want another dog. But then I was super back and forth. I was starting San Diego State. I had a lot going on, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to wait it out for a little bit. And actually, during the first year after her passing, I thought I had grieved. As she was getting older, I started, like, you get the signs of when your dog starts to slow down. And I thought I had fully accepted before even she passed away that she was going to pass away. And not just that, but I also, when she passed away, I didn't cry. Like that morning when we found her, she passed away in her sleep. I didn't cry. That entire day, I didn't cry. I didn't cry that week. I didn't cry that month. But then, literally 3 or 4 months down the line, something just reminded me of her, and I sobbed. And I think I did this a few times during the first year, after the first year that she passed away, and we didn't have her anymore. So I was really glad I didn't get a dog, because I would have just gotten a dog just because I felt lonely, because I wanted a big dog, because I just wanted a puppy. No. And I took some time to think about like what kind of like age I wanted to get. Honestly, not gonna lie, after my boyfriend's sister got a puppy, he kind of like scared me from wanting to get a puppy because he's absolutely crazy. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I want a puppy. Like, I don't think this is gonna work out. He's just crazy, and then they're all gonna be crazy. So I thought, okay, maybe I want a senior dog because I have Cody, he's 13. Maybe a senior dog is a better choice. They'll both be chill together. They both can chill together without having to get into each other's faces, whatever. But then I looked into pet insurance because that's something I want to put my money into and invest in, because I've had, so I've had, so, okay. I have 3 dogs, or I don't even know how to say it because one is technically like, one is still here. But growing up, I grew up with 3 dogs. 2 of them passed away, and I still have my youngest of the trio. And so every single one of my dogs that I've grown up with so far has gotten sick at least once, where it was a really big, awful sickness, diarrhea, vomiting. Actually, one of my dogs, he was born a runt and he had a really low immune system, but one day he had gotten sick out of the blue, out of nowhere, and then literally that night he passed away, and it was super sudden. So there's that. Cody got sick one time where he had like literally explosive diarrhea. And this was right after our second dog had passed away. We were just like, we have to take him to the vet. And that was one of the most expensive vet visits ever. Also, 3 of the dogs that I grew up with, they've done something incredibly dumb to hurt themselves. Dogs do that. So I just thought about it, and I was just like, after the first week of having Oakley home, I was like, yep, I'm putting insurance on her. So yeah. So I guess like to kind of talk about it, I basically decided to get a puppy because I realized that at the end of the day, I'm okay with getting a puppy. I understand that I have to be patient with them. And I feel like I have that patience for the most part. Except for this morning. This morning was hard. And a few mornings before that too. And to be honest, I don't really regret it getting a puppy. I went to the Humane Society, and this is what kind of got me to go, maybe a puppy is a better choice for me. Because when I went to the Humane Society, I realized while looking at older dogs, they're already set in their own ways. They have their own personalities. They are who they are, and they either get along with your dog or they don't. And so you can't really fall in love with this dog before they've met. And there's always that possibility where they just don't get along in the future. So I just decided, okay, let's go to an adoption event. And during the week that I was during the week beforehand, before this adoption event, I was actually in contact with someone else that I had emailed before to meet with a puppy, I think in September, but that puppy ended up being adopted out. And so we had decided to meet up for that Saturday in order to meet these Yorkie Chihuahua mixed terriers. But when I asked them, where does this foster mom what rescue do they foster for? They gave me a name. I looked it up. I'm not going to say what name it is, but basically I looked it up, and there was no website, there was no Instagram, no Facebook. So that was already my first red flag. The second red flag was when we agreed, okay, let's meet up for me to meet the puppies. They wanted to meet up in a parking lot. It was nearby. They were willing to meet close to where I live, but what was really sketchy was it was in a parking lot. And I didn't really like that. And so, I don't know, those were my red flags, and I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to say I'm not ready for it, and I'll just have to give them up for this time around, which was my nicest way of saying, you all are kind of sketchy. I don't really want to go for this. And I also found on Pet Finder that there was an adoption event going on that Saturday, and so I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to that one. So I filled out the forms to meet with actually my puppy right now, her brother. But when I met all the puppies, I took the time to get to know all their personalities. I think I was there for 3 hours, just cuddling with them, holding them, playing with them. And the foster mom was also there, so I asked her hey, what are their personalities when they're home? Because obviously right now they're very different from what they're like at home, where they're comfortable, where their mom is, And so she was just like, oh, well, this and this and this, and the boy dog that I was actually looking at, the boy puppy, she was like, when he is really comfortable, he will bully his sisters around. And it was basically a little boy in a litter of all sisters, mostly all sisters. So that was kind of a no, because he was already going to grow up to be pretty big. Well, big for a small size dog. He was going to be 30 pounds. That's what their estimate is. And so I was just like, no, sorry, Bentley. And then I also was looking at 2 other puppies, so obviously Oakley, and then I was looking at her sister, her other little sister as well, and her sister was actually really small, and she was so sweet and so shy, and the foster mom basically said that one was shy, very quiet, and then she got to Oakley, which her previous name was Kia. She got to Oakley and she was like, and she's spunky and she eats a lot. And I'm like, I want that one. So yeah, and I think also Oakley got my attention because when they were pulling out all the puppies out of the big old crate that they had the puppies in for transportation, she was the first and only dog that didn't have her tail between her legs, that came up to people and said hi. She was not nervous at all, where all her siblings were really nervous. And so that caught my attention. I was like, what an interesting puppy. So I put my name down for both her sister and for Oakley, and within a few days, I got a text from the lady who runs these adoption events, and she was like, hey, congrats. We would love for you to adopt out Kia, Oakley, And so I was super excited and I was really happy. And then when it came down to it, it was a Thursday that I brought her home the week after the Saturday. And honestly, I'm so over the moon. As much as she does drive me insane because she is a crazy puppy, she's also a good puppy. And the past month has just been trial and error, and also all three of us kind of getting used to everything, because it's not just her adjusting to life here, it is also Cody, my 13-year-old, adjusting to a puppy who is constantly wanting to play, always wanting to cuddle, and he just wants space, which is so funny. And then me adjusting to now having 2 dogs again, and also adjusting to having a puppy, which the last puppy I've ever had before Oakley was Cody, and that was when I was in the 6th grade, and I'm like 24 now. So, yeah. Really this past month has just been adjusting a lot, trying to figure out how much to feed her, like what should I go for walks, where should I walk her, all that stuff. I was really surprised. People were really rude with rude comments the first 2 weeks that I had her. People were like, whenever they'd come over to like meet Oakley, they'd be like, oh no, poor Cody, he's not getting any attention. I'm like, excuse me. Just because I'm not holding him right now does not mean he does not get any attention. He gets plenty attention. So yeah. Or like people, if I like made a slight complaint about how Oakley bites or Oakley does this, Oakley does that, they'd be like, well then why did you get a puppy? And so that really pissed me off. So by the 3rd week, I was already really ticked off by people. I was getting really frustrated, and it didn't help that I had 0 amount of sleep whatsoever, because honestly, actually, sleeping through the night got better and better throughout this month. The first night, she woke me up every single hour because I actually made the mistake of sticking her in her crate thinking, oh yeah, she's gonna cry, but then she's gonna stop crying at some point. No, she didn't stop crying. She cried the entire night. And I don't think any of us actually slept. Like me, Cody, or Oakley slept at all. So I remember that day, like the day after when I had school, I was a zombie. Like, I was just so tired. Nothing stuck to me. I was even surprised that I even got my butt out. And I even made it to class. So there's that. And then the 2nd, 3rd, 4th night, she would wake me up every 2 hours. So that was okay. And then gradually she would wake me up only at 2 a.m. and then at 5 a.m. Like just twice. And it was literally to probably pee. I think the one where she woke up like at 2 a.m. and would cry, that was kind of more like she'd wake up, it's dark in my room, and she'd cry because she doesn't know where anyone is. She doesn't see me. She's scared. So that was fine, and it was super understandable, and I didn't mind it at all. And then eventually she would just wake me up at 5. By like, I think it was the 3rd week, I was like, I cannot wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and 5 a.m. This is so much. By then, one night when she did the whimpering and crying at 2, I didn't even go to her. I just I just laid in bed, and then she just stopped. And then the next night she just didn't even cry at 2 a.m. And then I think that entire 3rd week, I did wake up at 5, and I set my alarm clock to wake me up at 5, because I thought, like, it just was nice to wake up super early, get all the things I needed to get done with Oakley, taking care of her, feeding her, walking her, all that stuff, before I had to go to class, before I had to go to work, before I had to do anything. It was super helpful. But that tired me out way too much because I'm a college student who has to stay up till like 12 to 1. And then wake up at 5. That's a joke. So eventually, like now, I just wake up like at 6 or 7, and she does pretty good. This week, I decided to take away the playpen, and I've just been slowly like making the playpen smaller and smaller, because I think the first night of putting her in her crate was not a good idea, because I think that's what kind of like freaked her out with the crate. And so me closing the door on the crate was so difficult with her, because if I closed it, she would freak out. So then This week, I started getting her just used to the crate, just like the idea of, here, I'm going to close it, I'm going to walk away, I have to cover it because if she sees me, she freaks out, or she gets excited, or she just wants me. So I cover it with like a blanket, and then I just leave her in there for like an hour or two, and then I go back and I take her out. Now she sleeps in her crate amazingly. I'm just like, I'm so proud of you. We do have accidents every now and then, but that's usually if I don't wake up fast enough to let her go pee. So that's not on her. It's really on me not being fast enough to wake up. But yeah, she is doing really well. She knows how to sit and wait, and so she sits and waits for her food. I'm trying to get her to really wait for her food, so once I like put it down, I have to say okay, and then she eats. That's mostly so then she doesn't lunge at me when I'm about to feed her. When we're walking, I am walking her on the streets. So she's mostly walking in the neighborhood. The vet said it was okay. The rescue said it was okay. She's had her shots. Her final shots are in January for the rabies, and I don't know what else. I think it's just the rabies. So yeah. So she's learning like all the things I taught my bigger dog to do, which is the biggest one was to sit and wait before we crossed. And then when we crossed, to cross quickly. So don't stop in the middle of the road for anything, especially with her. When I'm walking her, if I don't feed her beforehand, she will eat everything off the fucking ground. Leaves, rocks, sticks, rabbit poop, you name it, she's probably swallowed it. So that I've learned to feed her before I go for a walk, like literally immediately before, feed her, then walk her, because yeah. And she started just today. She's really like out in the backyard playing now. She knows how to play fetch, and she's learning to, every now and then she'll kind of forget the word to drop it for her wall, but she does drop her toys eventually. But she's learning how to play fetch, which is so good because that means I can get energy out of her, because she's absolutely crazy. She's extremely hyper. I guess not super hyper, but like puppy hyper, you know? She started doing the zoomies last week, and it's funny and it's cute, but she also runs into things because she's not paying attention to where she's going. What else? I don't know. There's just so much. Food-wise, I switched her to like 3 different foods, trying them out. The first one was I decided not to stick to the food brand that the foster mom was feeding her, mostly because it's only sold in really big bags, and there's no way Oakley will be able to get through it before it goes bad. So it just made more sense to not go for that route, even though it is the least expensive. Also, it was still a good dog food brand. It's probably going to start molding before she even gets to the bottom of the bag. So I just didn't want to go that route. And then I went to the Wholehearted Petco brand. That was good, but after a few days, it made her poop pellets. So she was really constipated. So it just didn't like fit her body at all. So then after that, I decided, okay, let's try the wellness brand. I mostly bought it because it was during the week of Thanksgiving, and Amazon had this sale where you basically get like the smaller bags for half off the price of what it's normally retailed for, which is about $15-16, and I got the bag for $7 or $8. So that was pretty awesome. So I just tried it out, and I realized on days that she just eats just puppy food, she poops normally. And I've talked about poops so much in the past month. It is just ridiculous. Like, I didn't know I would be so passionate about my puppy's poop. Yeah. Okay, and then going back to feeding her, and I also do like a little bit of supplementing with homemade food. I don't rely on homemade food because it doesn't have all of the nutrients that a growing puppy needs, and I don't want her to grow up nutrient deficient and fucking something up and having it be like, oh, she's like really dumb because you didn't feed her enough whatever nutrients that helps with brain development, you know, or she has one leg that's super short and the rest of them are super long because you didn't feed her enough, I don't know, calcium or something, protein, whatever. So I don't want to be like completely dependent on it, but I do supplement it mostly to get her to be okay, with different foods and textures. Because I do not want her to grow up to be a picky eater, because Cody is the pickiest dog in the world. So yeah. But also, kind of funny though, because of Oakley eating like all these different dog treats and like homemade food that has like fruits and vegetables in the mixture as well, I think Cody kind of got a little jealous, and then he was just like, I want some now. And so he's actually eating a lot of the treats that he's never wanted to eat, had no care in the world to eat before. And he eats my homemade food. Just fine. So I'm actually really happy about that, because he needs to eat a lot of variety in his diet too. And I just think in general, what is the most healthiest for my own dogs, not anyone else's dogs, but my own dogs, is to give your dog variety in their diet. So like giving them fruits and vegetables as treats, and feeding them homemade food like once a day. For me, that's the best for my dogs. And for Oakley right now, I think we've gotten it down with feeding. I feed her 3 times a day, small meals, because the vet said that's the best way to get her to eat her entire the entire amount that's recommended for her. But also doing that, I can also kind of fix up the different like portions a little bit, so that way at the end of the day I give her part homemade food and then part puppy food, so that works out. Yeah, that's pretty much it for food. And then training wise, she, like I said before, she knows how to sit. She's learning ish to leash walk, but we're working on that. It's not the easiest because she likes to walk behind me. She doesn't really like walking next to me or in front of me. She likes to walk behind me, so it's kind of weird. But we're learning, and then every single day I just go through the basics with her, and then this weekend I'm going to sign her up for puppy training classes. And the one I'm thinking of getting is the Saturday night ones, I think they are. And it starts in January, on January 4th. That's the first class. So I am planning on putting her into puppy training classes. I think that's super beneficial. I don't know. If I'm gonna, because this is my puppy, like I paid for her, I'm paying for everything for her. And so like if I'm already investing money into her, I'm going to invest a little bit more, and I'm going to invest more time into her to make sure that she grows up to be a proper dog. Especially just because with all my other dogs, we kind of didn't know what we were doing, even though we had like 3 dogs. And each one of my dogs, as good as they were, there was qualities about them that we didn't fix immediately. And so that turned out to be problematic behaviors later on. So yeah, and since the beginning of December, I started taking Oakley to puppy play sessions at Petco. They offer it for free. And I thought it was just like a time for puppies to play and learn how to socialize, but it's not just that. It's a really good time for me to learn how to read my puppy's body language to know if she's had enough or not. So it's been super helpful, and just the past 3 weeks, last weekend, she finally figured out how to do a check-in. So when they play too rough and too hard, they just stop, they take a breather, and then they go back at it. So they kind of relax a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been so good, and I haven't missed it so far, and I don't really plan on missing it anytime soon. Not until she's like way too old for it. So I think around 6 months is the cutoff age. So until then, she's going to come and she's going to keep on playing. It's a really good time for her to play with puppies in a controlled environment where there are trainers there to help like split the puppies apart, give them a moment, and it's a really positive training like space that really helps me too. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Toy wise, she's only kind of destroyed 3, but one is most likely going to go in the trash by the end of this week or next week. But the other 2 just need to be sewn up. It's just, she has really sharp teeth. I've been bitten, and she like bit me really hard right here a few days ago. You can't really see it, but she did bite me really hard where I did bleed. And we were just playing, and she just bit me too hard, and she didn't realize it. This one, I didn't even know I got bitten, and then yesterday morning, I looked down at my thumb, and I was bleeding, and I was like, wow, that's nice. This one, I don't even know where I got this, but I'm sure it was from a puppy biting me, but that's okay. That's pretty much it. Other than everything, she's just been such a good dog, and every single day, every single night, usually night times is when I look at her, and I just feel really happy and blessed that I took the time to find the right puppy for me, because I didn't go out and just go, I want that puppy because it's cute. And I just wanted to get a puppy the right way through adoption. It was literally like breeder or adoption. It was not going to be backyard breeder. There were so many on Craigslist that were just like, when I messaged them, obviously it's just like really sketchy. It's just like, no questions asked, just come here, pay the rehoming fee, and it's yours. And I'm just like, why can't I ask questions? That's really weird. And like, there were some where they just didn't even reply back when I asked, hey, like, is this puppy neutered? Do I have to get it neutered? Does it have its shots? At least the first rounds of shots, all that stuff. No question. All these questions that I should be asking, but they didn't want to answer. So, questionable territory. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad. I'm happy. I think it took me about basically 2 months from my search starting I kind of started in August, but really hardcore search starting in September into November. It took me some time to find the right dog, and I found the right dog. I hope. I think I did. And she is wonderful and amazing, and even though she bites me to the point where I bleed, because she just bites hard and she has really sharp puppy teeth, other than that, she's a really good puppy. And we see qualities of her, like our past dogs in her. Like, she looks like our German Shepherd Chow when she was a puppy. And so I think that made everyone kind of like fall in love with Oakley, because like she looks like Sky when she was little. She also has qualities of our late dog Nemo, who was extremely intelligent, loved playing fetch, and short and muscular. So it's kind of like Oakley. And so everyone loved Nemo, and so she kind of resembles those qualities too. So we love her a lot. I am the main person who takes care of her because she's my dog. I don't really rely on other people to take care of her. I don't even ask people if they wanted to take care of her. It's more like, hey, do you want to play with her for like a few minutes while I do this? Or would you like to hang out with her? Do you want to play fetch with her? It's not like, hey, can you do this? I don't know. For me, she's my dog, and so I'm a control freak, so I want to make sure she's a-okay on my own terms, not on other people's terms. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to see like updates of her though, I have an Instagram for her. I'll link it down below, but her Instagram handle is Oakley Skylar, and she is just growing up too fast. Within a month, she's already doubled in size of everything. So mama ain't happy is what it is. So that's pretty much it. I'm sure there'll be more update videos, and I'll film more puppy videos. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video.